Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Oh, good morning, people of Earth. How are you? It is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. March is a long month. I think I got a proposal. I think I have one. Why don't we cut a month off of March, because March is 31 days. Why don't we make it 24 days? I mean, a week. See, I'm already sleepy. A week off of March, make it 24 days, and add it to May and make it 38 days. You're not really fucking anything up then. The season is still the same. You're just taking 7 days out of March and putting it in May. Wouldn't that be good? No? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Jeremy, Doc Peterson will be with me today. Doc is a doc and a comedian. A doc and a comedian. I think he's a chiropractor, not an MD, but he's a doctor, practicing doctor in Lincoln, Nebraska. So, should be interesting to get to know him. He's a very active working stand-up, and also a voice actor for syndicated radio, doing some funny voiceover bits for playing cheating spouses for the Cheat Sheet radio nationally syndicated radio show. So we expect him in about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or so. Until then, you just got me. Here's the thing with me. About a week ago, YouTube sent me a notice that there were new abuses of my content. And one of the abusers was by Flat Earth Dave. And I ignored it for a day or two, and then it came up again. They sent me another one. All right, I'll look at it. And it was video of me when I did an audio interview with Dave for streaming radio. And he wasn't on it. I was talking to him. He was on it audio-wise, but he's not in the video. And he pulled that video down. And now that video has not been on my YouTube channel for a couple of years now. But somehow he got a hold of that and put it up on his channel. But he put a globe over my head to make me look kind of ridiculous. So I said, yeah, you know what? YouTube, pull it down. Copyright strike. He got angry with that and started sending his lemmings to go comment on the Zach Wiseman interview video. Just looking to start trouble. And to me, you know what? Punish me all you want that way. That's views, that's comments, helps the algorithm, helps the channel. Send all those people all you want. But then he went to YouTube and said that it's his interview and he should have a right to post that. And there was an agreement, he says, between him and I that we would share the content. That was not true. Now, YouTube is making me they want me to sue him. They say I have to prove legal action against him in order to continue to enforce this copyright ban. In other words, the proof is upon me. Now, the proof should be upon him. They know it's my content. They're the ones who identified it as copyright content, and it is. So the idea that there was an agreement that he could use the content, he should have to prove that. He should have to show express written consent that I gave him to use that content. I certainly wouldn't give him permission to use the content to put a globe on my head and make me look silly. Now, he claims that I just want the content down because he destroyed me in an argument or something like that. Dave thinks he destroys everybody. He's a flat earth guy. He thinks he wins every argument. They all do. This is what's so pathetically scary about this cult. Is there's no talking reason with these people. They're all fucking completely nuts. Beyond stupid. Now Dave is not stupid. He's a grifter. He's just making money off him. He doesn't really believe in this shit. Anyway, I got to get me a lawyer to sue Dave or just let it be and let him put it back up. And I'm not sure which is the better course for me. I'm tempted to sue him. He's asking for it. He wants it. Why not? Well, it's going to be expensive for me. That's definitely an expense that I don't really need. And I don't feel like I got to find out, first of all, if I can sue him in my jurisdiction or do I have to sue him in his jurisdiction? Because that would suck. I'm not going to Connecticut to fucking sue this guy. Carl says, put it back up, but create a hate channel. I don't even know what that means. Dave doesn't believe in gravity, so what the hell does he know? Nah, who cares? I don't really care about. It's just that now the line in the sand has been drawn with YouTube, and I think, I'm not Don Quixote anymore. I'm not fighting. I'm not chasing down windmills and slaying dragons, but it would be good to set precedent because the precedent is wrong here. YouTube has it absolutely wrong. I should not have to prove that I'm suing him. I should not have to go out of my way at my expense to stop him from using my copyrighted content. Anyway, they are, and they need proof of it within. I got 8 more days now, so I got to contact a lawyer. And the hits just keep on coming. I don't care. I really don't care. This flat Earth stuff is going to end soon because, well, crystal balls and all. My balls aren't crystal. You would think that within the next year and a half, the Virgin space flight program will take off, where passengers will be able to buy a trip into outer space, which would shut a lot of the flat earthers up if they could afford a ticket to go ride in Virgin Atlantic's. And then there's a balloon company that is taking people up to space to see the curvature of the earth and see for themselves. So the flatheads will be gone in short time. And it's not my battle. I don't give a fuck about that. They are just so there are no words for how dense these people are. But, and here we go with the politics here. We are at see, the reason I'm not so sure we're even going to get to the point with space travel is it looks like we're heading back. We're heading to a very, really dark place in America. With with this Trump situation. He's going to be protected at all costs. In Georgia, he's about to be indicted for trying to overturn the election. Grand jury found reason to indict him and tons of his cronies, probably including Lindsey Graham, including a lot of different people. And the governor of Georgia is about to sign a bill that says he can get rid of the DA prosecuting that case for no reason at all, or just because he doesn't like her, to protect Donald Trump. That's what the bill's all about. And so what we've heard from them, from the Trumpists, makes 2016 and that absurdity that imbecile was our president for 4 years makes that look mild, because he's going full-blown Hitler now, talking retribution. I wonder how long he had to practice saying retribution before he actually got it right. They're fucking crazy. So who knows? Who knows if we'll even get to a point where we there will be space travel available to the public, or society will last at all. We have, we've been on the verge of a major escalating war, worldwide war from Russia and Ukraine for just about a year and a week or so. Now China is getting ready to invade Taiwan again and threatening the U.S. So who knows? We could be at World War and with the incompetent, crazy people in charge. And it all goes to hell in a basket. And I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to it. Um, I hate to be a doom and gloom guy, but lately all I think about is the ride is over for me. For me, the ride is over. It's like the ride is coming to an end. You're in an amusement park. All the thrills are done. And it's just coasting until the end, and you get off the ride and it's time to go home. That's how I feel about life. Anyway, let me see what Colin and William are saying in the chat room. Two guys in the chat room. That's all we got today. Two guys chatting in the chat room. I read that one. Dave doesn't believe in gravity. Yeah, a channel's specifically going over his videos and his awful personality. I don't have time for that. The hate channel thing, that takes a lot of time and energy. I would debunk, if I had the time and energy, I would debunk the dopey points, the Abbott and Costello math and shit. They were shown at OLED screen out the window. They went nowhere. Huh? I don't know what that means. They were shown at OLED screen out the window. I don't know what that means. Once rich people started taking day trips to space, Flat Earth Dave will turn into Flat Broke Dave. You know what? His home address is on the complaint he filed with YouTube. Lives in a nice neighborhood, but you would think a guy who sells his app for $3 to 900,000 people, and then charges them $11 a month would be doing okay. If those are the true facts. Now, somebody on my channel who was commenting on that dopey Zach and Mike Zinn interview with Dave said that he only charges $3 for the app, and then there is no monthly fee on it. I don't know. I thought that during that interview, he said it was $11 a month. Maybe that's for the premium version, and who knows. Whatever the case is, even if you're just selling them for $3 a piece, if you truly did sell 900,000 of them, doing okay. 2.7 million right there, right? Okay. So there's that. Yeah, so I don't know if he's going to go broke from it. Space travel definitely will be kind of expensive. I have looked into the balloon stuff was supposed to be happening now. Virgin Atlantic was supposed to be happening already too. So I don't know what the stall is on that. Maybe the flat Earth people are right and we're all wrong. Who knows? My guest is here now. Doc Peterson is, as I mentioned, a comedian, a very hardworking comedian, headliner, voiceover actor, and as the moniker applies, a doctor. Now, I think he's a chiropractor. That's not a doctor. That is a doctor, but I'm not sure if he's an MD as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please open your ears, open your minds, and help me welcome Doc Peterson to Puppy with the Dog. Doc, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you, in fact, a MD as well as a chiropractor?
No, I am a chiropractor. I'm a
Okay.
DC.
There's nothing wrong with that, though, right?
No,
That's a doctor.
that's right. That's right. I did go to school for 7 years to get to this point.
So I'm confused at why why you would go into comedy after working hard to get certified as a chiropractor.
So are my parents. So, the long and short story of it is a buddy of mine who I had no idea was interested in comedy started hosting open mics. And out of support, my wife and I would go and watch him. And the comedy was horrible. The bar wanted nothing to do with it as far as the patrons go. And it was really insufferable as we sat there through the open mics. But we kept going because he was a buddy of ours. And one day my wife comes to me and says, I can't do this anymore. You're going to have to up our bar tab or you're on your own. So I said, give me 5 minutes. Let me go up and try my 5 minutes. And she's like, awesome. And if you screw this up, we're done. I'm never coming back to one of these things again. So I got up and it went good.
All right. Now, did you have 5 minutes like planned and written, or was that like spontaneous?
So the idea was spontaneous, but I practiced for 1 week to and from my office every day, in the car by myself. I made some outlines and I just came up with 5 minutes that I thought was good.
Wow. Did she know you had been doing that?
No, not really. Like I said, it was kind of a spur of the moment. I opened my mouth and she went, all right, big guy, put your money where your mouth is and get on that stage next week.
So that's different and probably a better way than most people would do it, because most people would tell all their friends to come and support them the first time. And that changes. You actually had a real test in front of strangers who didn't know you. Well, one guy knew you, the guy who you were there to support, but you didn't have friends in the crowd, and were able to measure your content legitimately with not friends and family. That's a
very
cool
fairly and accurately. When I got off the stage for that first time doing an open mic set, the owner of the bar came up to me and he said, hey, we have a competition coming up in 4 days and we have an open spot. Do you think you'd want it? Do you want to take it? And I was living high on the moment. I had just come off stage for the first time and people laughed at me and people were buying drinks and high-fiving. And I went, yeah, 10-foot tall and bulletproof. Hell yes, I'll take this.
That is very cool. And how old were you when that happened?
That was 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. So yeah, good for you. Because that can change your life. I mean, that can really change it. So had you ever been on stage or done anything before that?
So about 11 years ago, my wife had a baseball-sized brain tumor. And long story short, after surgeries and medications and all that, medical marijuana literally saved her life. And so I started going on and doing medical marijuana talks. And I would do them in front of state senators and state troopers associations and sheriff's deputies and surgeons. And so as far as the crowds and the nerves go, if you can talk about pot standing in front of a cop, you can pretty much talk to anybody about anything.
Well, that's just truth in that statement, but I'm thinking my first thought is legalize pot in Nebraska. First of all,
it still hasn't happened, by the way.
State, right? I mean,
yeah, it still hasn't happened.
Oh, so that's weird. So even for medical purposes, or
no, even for medical. So I mean, full disclosure, we broke the law, and I knew nothing about pot at that time. By the way, I knew zero about it.
Wow.
I had just remembered watching some video on just like the Discovery Channel or something, and it was about how this little kid with seizures was taking pot down in California, and he got better, and he went from like totally underdeveloped, behind his peers, behind his classmates, to being a functioning, fully contributing member of his class. And I don't know why that stuck in my head, but it did. And then I just pulled that little piece of memory up when the surgeons and the doctors said there's nothing more we can do for her and her seizures after the surgery. And so we had her start smoking pot.
When you're faced with a diagnosis like that, you will try things that you normally wouldn't try.
Oh, absolutely.
When my mom was diagnosed 30 years ago or something, there was this whole thing about there was this treatment that was for dogs and cats that reduced tumors in it, and it made the tumors go away, and then humans started trying it, and then but people you had to go to Canada to get this stuff because it wasn't legal in the United States. It turned out it was very bad for people. You're not supposed to take dog and cat medicine, but people were rushing to it. But I'm glad now. I'm curious here. Do you credit the cannabis, marijuana use, whatever you want to call it, with actually eradicating the disease, or just helping with the treatment and helping with the symptoms and all
That's a
that?
great question. In her case, they completely removed the tumor. So, from a surgical standpoint, there was no remnants of the tumor left. What she was left with was debilitating seizures after the fact.
Right.
Anytime you go in and disrupt the brain and cut it open and things like that, you're going to create chaos in there. She was on 4 different kinds of medications. They were giving her all kinds of stuff like Tic Tacs, just tossing them down her throat, and none of them were even controlling, much less helping the seizures that she was having. So that first night, she went into the garage and smoked a whole joint by herself. She came in red faced, coughing, gagging, eyes running, hating life. But that was the first night in 4 months that she did not have a seizure. She went straight to bed.
Wow.
So
Now, has she moved away from the smoking and to edibles? Because you talk about the hacking. I'm
yep.
at the yeah.
So absolutely. In the beginning, it was such an experimental thing for us. I had a couple of friends that were MDs, and I consulted them, and they kind of gave me I can help you, but it's got to be off the books, behind closed doors, and no one can know who it was that helped you. And so it took us about a year for her to step down off all those medications. At the same time, she was stepping down with how much cannabis she was using, and she even switched to edibles for a longer, slower, controlled release of the cannabis in her body.
Wow. I laugh, but I laugh for all the wrong reasons because it's just so absurd that you have to do things clandestine to try to help someone. These are doctors who want to help, but yeah, leave my name out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so messed up about our care system. Now, at chiropractic, generally, when I think of chiropractic, I think of people who are open to a lot of different healing modalities. Are you, or is it just you? Do you stop at chiropractic?
So I'd like to think that I'm open to a lot of stuff. My oldest brother is a PA, and we work together all the time. In fact, he works for an urgent care clinic that is directly attached to my clinic behind me. So we refer people back and forth all the time. I'm not one that says, "Oh, don't go to your medical doctor," or "Don't take your medicines," or "You don't need these things." Or I think we all have our spot and we all work together.
Yeah. Do you think there? Because here, I know I in the '90s I worked for a school of energy healing, and the woman there did practice hands-on healing.
Mhm.
Whoa! I, but a lot of her students were full-time chiropractors, and so do you subscribe to any of that kind of stuff, the energy healing
I
and
don't personally, but I also don't discount it either completely. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that we don't understand. And if you're getting benefit from it, who am I to say you should stay away from it?
no, that is my attitude towards it too. Is if it works for you, God bless you. I mean, I'm not going to try to stop it. It's just, some of the stuff is pretty out there. And then what happens is, in my experience, is once you start to go down that road, nothing becomes off the table. So, like the Easter Bunny and
Yeah. You're
oh,
absolutely right. Absolutely right. I
yeah.
mean, as far as I go, I'm doing traditional chiropractic stuff. I work with the medical side as much as I can. I might send somebody out and refer them out for acupuncture or something like that. I've got a good friend that does acupuncture. But as far as me personally referring you out for it, probably not. But if you find it on your own, I'm not going to stop you.
Right. Now, why chiropractic? What drew you to chiropractic to begin with?
So my girlfriend at the time, now she's my wife. She was my high school sweetheart. We were in a car accident together, and she went to the chiropractor. I went to the ER, and my experience compared to her experience were totally different. They strapped me to a headboard and told me I was done playing football and just gave me a bunch of meds and slapped me on the butt and said, "Have a great day. You're going to hurt like hell for a month or 3." Wow. And she went to the chiropractor and she started getting treatment and relief immediately. And I mean, truth be told, I was probably just trying to get in her pants, but at the same time, I was like, maybe I should try the chiropractor too. So I went and I got better. He said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna play football again. This is no big deal. Just give me a few weeks to get you straightened out. We'll do some rehab." And so he started making a believer out of me. And I knew I wanted to be in the medical field somewhere, in the healthcare somewhere. And so he kind of really focused me that junior and senior year of high school and said, maybe this is something you should look at.
And so you went to Kansas City to study?
Yep, I did.
No. And then back to Lincoln. Did you go back to Lincoln immediately after graduating, getting certified and all that stuff?
I did. After I passed national boards, I moved back to Lincoln. There was a guy selling a practice. That was, 22 years ago. So I bought my first practice. It was solo. I worked in that for 10 years. We outgrew that space. And then my current partner had 2 guys leave his practice. One retired, one moved out of state. And he said, let's join forces. So we remodeled his clinic and we just kind of split it down the middle now.
Now, you love Lincoln? You plan on that's going to be your life?
It's going to be my home base for now. I've got 3 kids. My oldest is going to be a senior next year. So
wow,
depending on where she goes and what she does, might free up my weekends a little bit more than they are right now chasing kids.
Yeah. So now, do you call them patients, clients? What do you call them?
They're patients.
Patients.
Yeah.
Do they know you're a stand-up comedian?
They're starting to learn.
Are they worried? Like, oh, you're not going to talk about me, are you?
Yeah, they do get a little nervous because they know I'm kind of a storyteller. I don't just go up on stage and tell a joke after punchline after punchline after punchline. I get bored with those kind of comics for me personally. So I like to hear a little bit of a story, make it connect with who you are, what you are in life, what you do. And my very first, I guess, headlining special that I did in Nebraska, we named it Trust Me, I'm a Doctor. And so I did about a 10-minute set about weird stuff that happens in my office.
We had a guy here who did Trust Me, I'm a Doctor many years ago. He would come out in a surgical go like he just came from surgery doing stand-up comedy, but he wasn't a doctor. He had no medical training. He barely graduated high school. And then while he was doing a thing at like a Knights of Columbus or something, guy in the front row had a heart attack and dropped right in front of him. And people looking at him like to do something.
Do something.
And he just said, not my field.
Yeah. I started a lot of shows with talking about the name Doc, and I tell people all the time that before you drop dead of a heart attack or a stroke or something that's going to take serious medical intervention, you should probably know I'm a chiropractor.
Right. So is there a thriving comedy scene in Lincoln, or you have to kind of travel from Lincoln?
Really, Lincoln and Omaha, 2 cities that are only about an hour apart from each other here in Nebraska. They've got a strong comedy scene. I think it's getting stronger by the day. There's a lot of people that were just doing the status quo, doing the open mic night thing, maybe doing a small time show from time to time. And then a few people came on the scene, I guess like me, and said, if you're going to charge people money for this, you better have professional lights. You better have professional sound. You better have a good stage, sell a ticket, make it a good bar, make it a great atmosphere. And so the bar has definitely been raised around the Midwest for sure lately.
Now boy, you just said something that really I've been thinking about a lot lately, because the comedy club experience has not changed since stand-up comedy was invented in maybe the 50s or 60s, whenever actually came out of vaudeville, but let's say 50s and 60s. The comedy club experience has not changed, and I don't think it's a great one, because You're in uncomfortable chairs next to strangers, packed in like this, like it seems that in a lot of comedy clubs. But I do feel like it needs to change, but there's also a danger in my mind of, because that works. It works for the comedians. It's a darkened atmosphere. The whole, you're sitting in a room full of strangers. That works for comedy, but it does need to be a little bit of a better experience. So, where you draw that line and make it a memorable experience for people, a little bit different than what they're experiencing, but not blow a good thing, not ruin a good thing. Does that make sense?
So I run 2 monthly shows currently, in addition to all the other shows that I produce and headline and feature in throughout the month. But 2 monthly shows, and those 2 monthly shows are at what I would call high-end venues. It's leather lounge seating. It's a bar and restaurant with a chef-designed menu, high-end craft cocktails. So we actually call it dinner and comedy. And it's a dinner where they get to sit down and have a fantastic meal prepared by a chef. And then they're going to get a craft cocktail where all their mixers are made at the bar the day of, fresh squeezed juices and whatever. And then they get to stay for a comedy show. So behind our stage is a 20-foot video board. And I put up the comedian's headshots on there. So when they take a picture and they see that comedian, there's a 20-foot likeness of them up there as well.
Wow.
So we really do try to take it to that next level, because you're right. The comedy club idea works. So you don't want to get away from it completely, but let's make it an event. Let's make it because I do these shows on a Wednesday and Thursday night. On a Wednesday and Thursday night, we're packing 100 to 150 people in here in Nebraska for a dinner and comedy show. And that's just kind of unheard of. And it's because we took it to that next level, I believe.
Yeah. Joe Rogan is about to open his club, Mothership, in Austin, Texas, after 2 years of perfecting it. And, whatever anybody thinks about Rogan personally or all that stuff, I really, really wish him well, because I think it matters for the comedy scene, because just based on what I know about him, he put a lot of money into the Comedy Store equipment, sound system, and all that kind of stuff, and that wasn't even his. So I have to think his own club, and the reason he's taking 2 years, he wants to make this like a special kind of experience. And looking at it, it's like 7 nights a week of he's leaving it kind of open now, just his friends and the people he hangs out with in comedy.
Right.
So but I do think he's trying to build a different kind of experience there, just based on what he did with the Comedy Store, which wasn't even his. So got to wish him luck in that. And so the comedy scene, is it a lot of comedy clubs? Is there?
There's a Funny Bone in Omaha, Nebraska, and that is the prototypical comedy club that you were just talking about, where they pack in 250 seats, ass to elbow, just pack them in. They're so close you can barely breathe or laugh out loud. The stage is about 4 foot by 4 foot with one 1960s par can light beaming down on the comedian, blaring and burning their face off. And then there's a couple of small theaters as well that do a lot of improv. They really cater to like the theater crowd more than anything. And then there's a handful of independent producers that are finding great stages, great shows, and great bars to perform in.
Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking, because the business has got to expand, because there are so many people doing it now. Maybe not in Nebraska to the level it is in New York, where God, I know hundreds of comedians now. That shouldn't be. Nobody should know hundreds of stand-up comedians unless
right.
you are a comedian. So the business does have to expand, and people are finding different ways to put shows on. I think it's getting a little carried away when the pizza place down the corner has 5 comedians on tonight.
I agree completely. My whole model is that if I'm selling a ticket for $10, $20, $30, whatever that ticket price is, it's an event and it's a show. You went there, you sat in a chair, you enjoyed a show, maybe you enjoyed a meal or a drink or whatever, but you weren't crammed into the back room of a brewery. And that's not to take anything away from all the brewery shows that are popping up. There's been some extremely successful ones out there. In fact, we've got a young gal here in Nebraska that started producing. I don't know how she got hooked up with them, but New Year's Eve, she packed like 150 or 200 people for her first show that she ever produced in the back room of a brewery. Now, my advice to her was, now let's take some of the money you made and go to Amazon and invest in a lighting rig, a quick T-bar with 5 LED par can lights. And let's be able to dim the lights so we're not just in the bright fluorescent lights of the back room of the brewing company. Let's do more than just your powered karaoke speakers on a stand. Let's invest in just a little bit more of a quality sound system so that everybody can truly enjoy the experience.
You are, even though you're a funny guy and comedian, you seem like a serious enough guy that I'm just making a judgment about you here. But that I'm going to guess that before you went on stage that first time, you had never heard the word parkan before, but now you know all about stage lighting and all this kind of stuff. I think a big part of struggling comedians who are coming up, they don't learn anything about the craft, about those supporting stuff that you would think, that's not my business. That's the light guy's business. The sound stuff, that's not my business. But you learn about all the elements that go into a show that make it a quality show. That makes a big difference. I think a lot of people just don't think that's their.
I think a lot of people overlook that, and that is my biggest gripe, and probably my biggest point of contention with anybody in the local scene is do better, make it a show.
Yeah.
In every facet, no matter where your budget is. Like my first set of LED can lights I got from Amazon, I think I paid like $6 a piece for them.
The lights that I have back there are Amazon like $10 lights or $7.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now storytelling. I wanted to kind of touch on this when you brought it up before. I appreciate long form comedy and good setups and stories that pull you in and then deliver a like really, really funny payoff. But I'm wondering if it's a regional thing where you can get away with that better in Omaha, Nebraska than you can in New York City, where everything seems to be like going at 100 miles an hour. Big cities, East Coast cities, generally, everybody's always in a hurry. Does the geographical area you work in dictate the kind of comedy you can do?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. For me, it does. I guess I look to the one comic that I think is the most successful comic on the road today, and that would be Bert Kreischer. I think most people would find a hard time making an argument that he's not one of the most successful touring comics out there on the market, or Tom Segura even. And both of them do that long form of storytelling and get you at the end with something funny, but they always put a quip or two leading up to that great point. And that's something that unwittingly I did. And I realized after the fact that I'm like, well, I'm kind of modeling myself after the one comic that I really like.
That's, I think that everybody does that consciously, subconsciously, whatever. I mean, you're going to try to guide people that influence you. You're not pulling your shirt off, are you?
No. Yeah. No.
All right. So you're not becoming Bert.
I think I look better naked than Bert, but let's not have that competition on air. All right.
Right. He is, I will say this about him. He is a natural born marketing person. He has, and there is because I know some people I know resent him for his success, but you have to admire the way that he has carved out this career on his own and brought this awareness of how to use the media and how to use publicity to pump yourself up in a way that's important if people want to, succeed. There's a lesson there. Even if you're not intending to get to that level where you got your private jet and going to play stadium, just taking that lesson about how to work the media and how to work marketing and how to get people loyal to you. There's a lot that he can teach people. So
there definitely is, and I see that. I just did a show in Rapid City, South Dakota, so that's a 8.5-hour drive for us to get there. We did 2 nights there, and it was sold out, oversold, line around the block to get in, and the only I'd never performed there before, so it's not like they knew who I was or it was going to be this great show because there was some reputation that preceded me. I'm regional still, in this area. I do go from Rapid City to New Orleans this year and everywhere in between, but they didn't know me yet. And what really kicked off the ticket sales there was doing the social media outreach, doing the little clips of videos going, hey, it's Doc Peterson, and we're bringing the 5 funniest people I know to this show. And when we did that, tickets tripled overnight. And so they had never even seen a clip of Doc Peterson comedy, and we sold 300 tickets off. Boom.
Now I've got your website going on under there. Is there a YouTube channel? I did not find a YouTube channel.
No, I'm one of the rare ones that doesn't have anything on YouTube right now. I do some TikTok stuff where I release old stuff I've done on stage, just a 2-minute, 3-minute clip, that kind of thing. And that's just Doc Peterson comedy on TikTok, and Instagram is the same thing. And I'll put out a video clip every now and then. I haven't put any out for a couple months, but those are just old things that I've done on stage that went over well enough to get a good laugh and put out to the public.
Now, are you constantly writing new stuff?
I do. I keep my phone with me all the time. So if something happens that I think I can turn into something funny, I'll hit talk and I'll talk into my phone and send myself a text. I got sticky notes all over my desk at the office, and I'll just write stuff down if it comes across and pops into my head. And then I go back and I look at those and go, okay, was that as funny as it was in the moment? Or can I make that better? Or is that just a scrap idea? I don't ever throw them away just in case it might tie into something later, but I'll just kind of set it to the side.
All right. I know you said before. I'm going to come back to it. My mind goes in a lot of different directions at once. Before you said you knew nothing about pot until your wife had her medical condition.
Yeah.
George Carlin used to write completely straight, and then get stoned to punch it up. Do you use anything to punch up material when you get ideas like that and you say, well, could it be better?
So I think there are times that I've written stuff under the influence that is funnier, and then I tried to do it sober and went, how the hell did I do this? This doesn't even make sense in my sober brain. So in general, I'll have a couple of drinks before I get on stage, but I tend to be sober on stage, sober beforehand, and then I wait for the after party to imbibe and all the good stuff.
Okay, without divulging or breaking any confidentiality stuff, ever like have something in the middle of working on somebody's back or something that just hits you in the moment? And
oh yeah,
because I know my chiropractors laugh at me because I'm just a weird dope anyway, and I make a lot of funny noises when they're adjusting my back and all that kind of stuff. And
I always laugh about. It's always the middle-aged women, somewhere around 50 years old, and you're working on their back. And as you're pushing down on their back, they're making sounds like they're having an orgasm. And you're just hoping that my receptionist isn't walking by at the time going, what in the hell is he doing behind that door? So those always hit me funny. And, but for the most part, I'm able to keep it together and not laugh too hard.
Well, William Conway, who is a comedian, actually now out of Grants, New Mexico, but he's from Iowa, but was most recently in the South, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He has a question for you. Have you noticed resistance from the scene for the improvements? Do you get flack for raising the bar as you are? Oh.
Absolutely. So I get a lot of flack from it, actually, from a lot of the comics that were around well before I was in the scene, and they push back really, really hard. I've also found that a lot of the ones that are pushing the hardest are ones that I won't personally hire for my shows because I don't personally find them funny. That's not to mean that they don't have a crowd. That's not to mean that they aren't good at what they do. It's if you can't make me laugh, I'm not hiring you. and I'm a tough critic. I didn't grow up in the world of being a theater guy or a comedy guy or idolizing all these comics. I watched them when I was young. I thought they were great, whatever. But that wasn't my life path and my passion to do. So you got to appeal to, I always tell people this, you have to appeal to the general public and the general ticket purchaser. The people who come to a Doc Peterson comedy show and sit at a beautiful restaurant in a leather chair and order a dinner from a chef and a high-end craft cocktail and pay $25 a ticket don't really want to hear cat butthole jokes and toilet jokes for 30 minutes. That's not what they're into. That's not what they paid for. So there is pushback. There's a lot of pushback. I got some hate on the Road Comics of America Facebook page from a local comic not too long ago.
Really?
I posted a poll, which is a place that we can advertise for local comic or for any comics from across the country to apply for a job.
Right.
And I'm producing my first ever arena show where I'm headlining in Lincoln, Nebraska this summer. And I posted that, but there's only so many words that you can put in the poll. So I couldn't give all the details. I gave as many as I could. And one of the things that it said was how much the comics were going to get paid. Now in Nebraska, I have no problem stating how much my comics get paid. I pay at least double than everyone else going around. And the reason I'm able to pay double is because I'm not making my money off producing these shows. I'm making my money Monday through Friday as a chiropractor.
Right.
And so I get to distribute the funds a little more equally than some shady producer that's putting $1,000 in his pocket and paying everybody else $100 to do the show.
And planning to live on that one show for 2 months.
Exactly. Out of my car in my mom's basement and everything else. Right.
Yeah.
So this guy blew me up on this road comics page saying, oh, $300 for a 15 or 20 minute opening set on an arena is weak. And then I said, well, it's a fundraiser show. I'm actually doing a fundraiser for a youth sports organization. So I'm not pocketing the proceeds here. I'm not pocketing $20,000 or $30,000. I hope at the end of the night, I get to give them a big fat check, and I get to stand there with a stupid smile on my face for pictures and hand them a check for 20 grand. But I'm still working within a budget to produce a show that's quality. And then this guy went on to say stuff like, well, the only arena in town is a 15,000 seat arena. And like, well, actually, we have a hockey arena, and that's where I'm performing. They take out the ice in the summer. They take down the glass. There's 3,000 seats in there. They're building a custom stage. They're bringing in custom stadium lighting and sound and all this stuff. And you talk about resistance. He's like number one on the list for pushing back because he can't get on the show in the first place.
I'm mad at him. I don't even know who it is, and I'm mad at him. Here's the thing. Just don't apply for it. You know what? It's not for you. Just move on. The only time I will ever get involved in something like that, if I feel somebody is being predatory, in other words, charging, whether it's comedians, musicians, actors, or whatever, charging them for something that they shouldn't be paying for. It was somebody charging $50 for Zoom comedy auditions. Not even a Zoom comedy show. They're charging you $50 to audition for it, and then they can say no, and people are paying for it.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. But if there's somebody posting for a paying job, first of all, mind your own business. It's a paying job. It's not for you. Move on. It's for somebody else who would definitely love that opportunity. Shut the hell up and move on. I don't get people.
I mean, that poor guy, he's probably never performed in front of 100 people or even made $100 per show at most. And headliners on my small show, I call them my small shows. I know that there are people with different varying degrees of what success is, but those 100 and 150 seat shows, I'll gladly pay my headliner $400 to take the stage.
Yeah.
And across the industry, I'm noticing that that's almost double sometimes compared to what.
Let's be honest, there are people opening for Bert Kreischer who aren't making $400 for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So is there hate? Yeah, there's a lot of hate.
Yeah. Now, people who knew you when you were very young, they're still in there's got to be some that you keep in touch with. Are they like, who are you?
It doesn't surprise them at all. According to a couple of my friends that I have had since elementary school, I was always the storyteller that was always trying to get a laugh out of somebody along the way. Nobody ever saw it going.
The theatrical aspect of it, though, being on stage, that if you haven't done it your whole life, that would be surprising to me. I mean, one of my friends did it after becoming an adult. I'd be like, when? How did that happen? Because everybody I know, we started like 12 or 11 being on stage for the first time. So it's just unusual. Now, with your practice, do you get to go, too far, or you basically have to stick around for patients? And
So at this point, I've taken off a few Fridays to travel, and I'm usually back late Sunday night. If I like the show I just did in Rapid City 2 weeks ago, I actually took Friday off, didn't see patients, drove up to Rapid City, did the 2 shows Friday and Saturday night, and then drove home Sunday morning. Um, I I'm pretty good. I'm at the point where I get to pick and choose what shows I want to do, how far I want to drive, that kind of stuff. I do work with an agent, although they're not officially tied as an agent for me. He helps me book a lot of shows and puts me in a lot of venues, especially those 2 monthly shows I'm doing in Omaha that I was talking about. So he knows what my kind of going daily rate is and my price and what it's going to cost for me to get comedians together and do a show somewhere. So I don't have to haggle too much and mess around that way. He did offer me a 5-day tour here in June where I'll take off. I'll work Monday and Tuesday, and then I'll be off the rest of the week, and we'll do 5 or 6 shows in a row. But we're not going to do that all the time. Not yet, anyway.
right. It's interesting. It seems to me some very good things have happened for you, but it also seems that you are really smart and strategic, and able to create a plan, not just willy-nilly approach to something. You figured out, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it the right way. What do you, first of all, do you believe in luck at all, or is everything that happened to you,
No.
a residue of hard work and design?
So I do believe in luck. I do believe in being at the right place at the right time. Like coming off that first open mic and having the owner of the bar saying, "Hey, by the way, there's a comedy competition and we have a spot." Those were good timing, good fortune, good luck, whatever you want to call it. I also believe that I'm the guy that goes all in. I don't do anything halfway. I coach Little League baseball. I've coached softball. I've coached hockey. It was a full-time job to me. I was at the office from 8 to 5:30, and then at night I was working on whatever sports thing that I was working on with my kids at that time. So I don't do anything just halfway and expect it to succeed. If I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail with my hair on fire, doing everything I possibly can.
That's apparent. It's in just talking to you that your approach to this is very um, not a pie in the sky dreamer approach to, because this is the problem I think with a lot of people who get into it. They let the glitter and glory and the idea of what stand-up comedy and what specials and idolization of these comedians that we see for years, they let that affect their mentality, and like it's all show business and fairy tales and all this stuff, but it is hard work. So the question I'm leading to really awkwardly here is, does it make sense? Because a lot of people, this full-time job, full-time career that is not that, is it more productive to have that because you have that as a grounding? You are free to say, I'm going to do things my way because I'm financially secure in the profession that I have. Does that make more sense than the guy who just says, you know what, I'm just going to do comedy. I'm not going to work a 9 to 5. I'm going at what it seems to work for you, at least, just the idea of
So
having that stable.
I have 3 kids, and they're all in sports, and they're all in activities. So the idea of me just giving everything up and going on the road full time is not an option for me right now. I'm too involved in my kids' life. Like I said, I've been together with my wife since we were freshmen in high school sweethearts. I'm not ready to leave all that and just go on the road every day.
Right.
To that end, though, I do know comics who just recently quit their job and they toured. I don't know if I'd call it full time, but they're in say 4 or 5 shows a week. To me, it's the quality over quantity. Driving 4 hours, doing a show for $150, not getting a hotel, not getting your dinner paid for, not getting drinks. I spent $150 to drive there. How is this on tour? Why? You're just funding your own hobby. You're not actually being successful in my eyes.
I would agree.
My opinion.
I would agree, but I think it makes, and this is because JT Habitat who produces Altercation Comedy was on, and I was talking to him about this, and he said he doesn't do weekend. Him and Eddie Pepitone are on the road together a lot, and the camaraderie of that makes it worthwhile. But he doesn't do weekends, and he doesn't like being in one place. He loves the stories. The road is all about the experience of that. I don't know if he's married and happily married. He certainly probably doesn't have kids. That affects it. But there is some romanticism to the road comic getting in trouble with his buddies on the road type of thing that for some people that makes it all worthwhile. But, it's not for everybody. But I do think
but to me, there has to be a trade-off.
Yeah.
And that's just my 2 cents on it.
And I think it worked. You know what? It seems, at least, again, it's working for you. So God bless you, and more power to you. This idea that you don't have to give up having a regular life and a regular existence, a regular marriage and kids, and that experience to do what you want to do and still be successful at it. So different approaches for different people. It's good to learn these things because we get tied in. I hear a lot of self-help stuff from people all the time, even unsolicited, mostly unsolicited. But it's always, just go after your dreams. You only live once. Give up. And I'm like, that's for you. When you're giving that advice, you're telling people how to live your life, not how to live their life. Everybody's got to approach it different. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, I'm not giving up what I've got here to go on the road in a 2005 Honda Accord and drive 300,000 miles this year, making peanuts and living off gas station pizza. It's not going to work for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. And so now your schedule coming up. You got anything coming up this week that you want to let people know about?
Sure. Let's see. I got a show in West Point, Nebraska coming up on the 18th. That's a small town bar here right outside of Omaha that contacted me and said, hey, we want the full production. So we're bringing in the lights, the sound. I bring in 50-inch TV monitors that have the comedians' headshots on them and a little slideshow and stuff like that. So those people out there in that small town will get a hell of a show coming up. And then I've got the 2 monthly shows. I've got one at the Granary in Ralston, Nebraska. That is an upscale event venue with big projectors that are going to have the comics up on them and high-end drinks there. Barrel and Vine is the first Wednesday of every month. And I've been able to catch people, say, going from Denver to Chicago, coming across Nebraska. And they're like, oh, I catch a headlining show here on a weeknight instead of driving and paying for my own hotel. I just made a few $100. So I've been able to bring in some great talent on those shows as well.
Very cool. And you do this, you have those venues as it's like a steady monthly thing, right?
Yeah, those are a monthly thing. And so I produce them. I vet all the comics. I usually host most of those shows. Sometimes I'll feature for one of the comics, and I only have headlined out of those once. And I do that because, first of all, people can only see your act so many times. Even though I think I'm one of the few that has a lot out there that I've done on stage before, I don't want to wear anybody out on me. So if I want to keep selling tickets, if I want to keep putting butts in the seats and having sold out shows, I need to bring in new talent every single month.
And the hockey arena in June, you still looking for comics for that? Because I
in
think
July.
July.
July. It's July 15th, and I've got 1 or 2 opening spots left for that.
And you're probably going to have like 400 people now from this applying for that. Well,
great.
They'd have to know. Well, you can go DocPetersonComedy.com and find out more, I guess, or I'll find them on Facebook. I don't remember seeing links to your Facebook stuff on your webpage. I'll have to go back. If not, I'll put it in the links. Anyway.
All right.
Before I let you go here, one thing I'm curious about now, voiceover on the radio, syndicated radio for the Cheat Sheet.
Yeah.
So if I have this correctly, it's like a morning zoo type of thing where we have here in New York called the Battle of the Roses, and it's basically somebody calling up, telling a story about how they got cheated on, and they want somebody else deliver roses or something as an apology or something like that story. You're playing a character
Yeah.
you're making stuff up about being a guy who got cheated on. Do I have that correct?
So they give me a little script, and it's almost always the women who are actually calling in the radio show, making an accusation against a boyfriend or a fiance or a husband or whatever, and then the radio show will like call me and pretend to be a candy delivery company or a flower delivery company, and they're like, who do you want to, you got free roses, and who do you want to send them to? And then my character always has to say the wrong person, and then the girlfriend or the wife will chime in, and then they yell and scream at each other, and then they cut off the show.
Oh, my wife will not believe this because I have been saying this is stage stuff for years, and she's avid. I hope you didn't just give away here the secret here, but I feel a little vindicated. And do you ever change your voice, or you use your natural voice every
No,
time?
they want us because none of these radio stations have ever been anywhere near us that have used me before. So, like, I did one last month for something in Fargo, North Dakota. I've done stuff for California, so they don't know my voice anyway. So they want you to be as natural as you can, so you don't screw it up.
Right.
I've taken a lot of pride in the fact that every one that I've recorded, I've done in one take. We haven't had to stop. We haven't had to redo it. It's just one take.
Very cool. I went back in the day on my original radio show. I had my best friend call in every single show in his natural voice. We used to do psychics all the time, and I would debunk the psychics, and then I would do readings for people and have my friends call in, and they'd be like, "Incredible! Wow, you're so accurate." But my friend would never change his voice. Every week he would call in, be like Joe from Babylon, Tom from Bayshore, whatever, and never change his voice. And I would always be, and nobody ever caught on to the fact that it was the same guy, same voice every week. Wow, you're really good. How are you so good with those readings?
That's great.
Well, I wish you great luck. Thanks for being on here. And, man, you're an inspiring story about how it's done in a new kind of path. The most important thing, I think, in production for comedy shows, I would say, for people like me, and maybe it's not sound is more than the lights, more than the television, all that stuff. Sound system. Why in every comedy club it's always on so big? Like, what the fuck, man? I can't hear what you said. I got. Yeah. So, but I'm glad to see somebody is caring about that stuff and up in the game and making an experience. So it's been a pleasure to know you, and I hope people will support you. DocPetersonComedy.com. Doc, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye for now. What's wrong with my mouse here? Okay. Oh, we have a look at that overlay. Now that's weird. That's something new. I got to get rid of that. That's very strange. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the program. I hope you will support him. Find out if you're in the Nebraska area. Come on, we got to get rid of this overlay here. Man, this is sucky. Here it is. Man, I don't like that overlay. We got to do a better job with that. Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska area. Check them out. Go to see them. And lessons to be learned there, folks. Love to hear what your thoughts are on this conversation. And thank you for being part of the show. I have a day and a half scheduled for myself here today. I have some production stuff for the television show Tasting New York today. And then I have to go meet about a shoot at a local nightclub. And then I have a show this afternoon, a corporate show, 2:30 to 3:30, that I forgot about, which is 100 miles away. So I got a day and a half. And that's all before the regular work starts. So I screwed myself up here. This is the story of my life. I'm not complaining. Come back to what Louis C.K. said. You should enjoy the work. This is what you asked for. This is what you want. This is living the dream. It's also a little exhausting, but I appreciate the opportunity for having the ability to be exhausted. Anyway, that's the show for today. Check me out tomorrow. Who's our guest tomorrow, Johnny? Who cares? What difference does it make? It makes a difference. We don't have a guest tomorrow. We're not booked with a guest tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I have Edward Miskey, who is going to be talking about sex, drugs, and cancer. Apparently, he got a cancer diagnosis and decided to go out hard, partying, sex, drugs, and cancer, but then didn't die. Hey, max out my credit cards. I'm dying of cancer. Give me all the cocaine you got. Give me all the liquor you got. Oh, I'm not dying, and I'm broke, and I sold my house. So it should be an interesting story tomorrow night. But tomorrow in the morning, no guests. So, we'll leave the door open for any of the team members who want to pop in and say hello and talk shit. Hopefully, maybe call. Anyway, have a great day. I got to go run. I got things to do. Bye for now.